Tyler Durden is the self-created dominant personality of the narrator in the 1999 classic movie Fight Club, directed by David Fincher based off the novel by Chuck Palahniuk. While the film Fight Club itself deserves its own exploration as it contains multitudes of subliminal messages and philosophies, for this offering from the void, we will be looking at Tyler and what his life philosophy is, for he is a character worth investing our time into. Have you ever talked to yourself? Of course you have. Everyone does it. Everyone has that silent conversation unbeknownst to anyone except you. A conversation which lives inside your head. It's almost as if you're talking to a different person.
We should do this again sometime.
Debating and soundboarding with yourself, measuring your own ideals and judgments against this other half of yourself versus the person you currently are. One who you're truly not satisfied in being. Of course you do. Have you ever envisioned what the greatest version of yourself is? Perhaps wondering if you could somehow strip away all those flaws and weakest traits of your own personality and replace them with the characteristics you value most. You could take control of your life, attain your distant dreams, and all those unfulfilled ambitions that live in the dark recesses of your mind. Of course you have. Everyone does it. Everyone has conversations with themselves, talks to themselves. Everyone thinks and dreams about the person they'd rather be than the person who they actually are. And what about your life? Are you happy? Do you live with purpose? Or do you, without even thinking, listen to advertisers, influencers, self-help gurus, indulge in mindless entertainment, adorning yourself in the same empty luxury fashion like everyone else, shuffling into gyms in an attempt to create a clone of those same images you have been told is who and what society is deemed attractive, polishing yourself with layers of false visuals because somehow you think it will make you beautiful. Vicariously living through the lives of celebrities and rock stars, hoping that a taste of a single morsel of what they live will fill the infinitely deep hole in the blackest regions of your miserable, repressed soul. Our narrator is one of these lost children. We see him, a slave in a white collar, desperately attempting to fill that void in his life with useless things that have no true value, parasitically leeching off the warm embrace from others and support groups in order to feel something more than this numb feeling of emptiness. He works a job he hates for a boss he despises, so he can buy the next item that inevitably leaves him just as empty as he was before, forever trapped in an endless cycle that ultimately leaves him depressed. He is weak, directionless, frustrated, and disillusioned as he meekly shuffles through life in an all too typical and common existence. An existence of perpetual suffering and silent agony. But Tyler, well, that's a different story. Meet Tyler Durden.
Tyler Durden.
The narrator's shadow self, as Carl Jung would describe it. The earliest glimpses of Tyler are seen during the narrator's explanation of his ongoing insomnia. He appears at least 4 times in single-framed instances of existence. One in the office at the narrator's work, one behind the doctor when he tells the narrator about the support groups, another one where Tyler appears standing with his arm draped around the counselor during the testicular cancer support group. And finally, one where Tyler is smoking a cigarette. These single-frame images of Tyler is an indicator that the narrator's psyche is beginning to split. And throughout the movie, we see Tyler assuming more control as the narrator begins accepting the changes occurring as he begins becoming his idealized self. Learning that removing this self-help bullshit these walking cadavers cling so tightly to and hitting bottom is the only way towards true enlightenment. For when you are at rock bottom, there's only one way to go. Up. Waking up when you suffer from insomnia is a strange sensation. Everything feeling so distant and muffled, out of focus and disjointed. When you suffer from insomnia, you're never truly awake, and you're never truly asleep. You're existing in a constant state more akin to a perpetual dream. How do you know what you see is real? After all, perception is reality. And when your perceptions are constantly in question and your hallucinations are more authentic than the world around you, how do you know what's real and what's in your head? The narrator is a lifestyle-obsessed, materialistic, empty follower, brainwashed by advertising, worshiping items and contrived images of the ideal male physique, the essence of style over substance, false body armor, if you will, while the raw, primal humanity lays repressed and angry, clawing to escape its cage. Tyler is confident, aggressive, intelligent, physically impressive, and charismatic. He is everything the narrator is not, and that is the point. Tyler is the idealized version of what the narrator truly wants to be. And as he allows Tyler more control over his life, he learns to let go and understand that what doesn't matter is truly unimportant. He learns to hit bottom, become enlightened, and it all begins with a fight.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
How much do you know about yourself if you've never been in a real fight? Everybody has a fictional belief of how they would behave in the chaotic blender of physical combat. People delude themselves with the thoughts on how they would rise to the occasion, tapping into the primal side of themselves, and throw themselves right up the middle, where the action is, coming out unscathed, victorious. But most people will do anything they can to avoid a fight. They will attempt a variety of methods, from diffusing the threat of a physical altercation with words, compromises, even begging and pleading. They are weak and afraid of physically being harmed. How sad for those stuck in their fears of our so-called civilized society, where they cling to this fantasy of how being nice and harmless means you are a better person. In all actuality, being nice and harmless only means you are weak and nothing more than a meal for the monster laying awake to feast upon, picking your stripped flesh from its teeth before seeking its next meal. Fighting is not about winning or losing. It's not about titles or glory like we are all taught to believe through movies and combat sports. Fighting is not about a combat sport with the ring decorated in various sponsors and alcohol advertisements flashing superficial indulgences. It's about reconnecting to the primal side all humans are subconsciously aware of. A side of themselves, muddled and suppressed by the endless chatter of useless, meaningless ideals, by the dead-eyed, empty souls, afraid of their own unfulfilling, meaningless existence, regurgitated over and over again until it all becomes another form of oppression to the human being's true nature. After fighting, you can deal with anything. After fighting, you aren't afraid of anything. Every situation becomes less daunting after you've faced your fear of pain. After fighting, everything becomes droned out and less important than the connection of raw bone on flesh, the deafening sound of screaming, like an autonomous choir serenading their flock, and the sheer awakening of oneself felt after the fight ceases. It doesn't matter who wins or loses, because even though nothing was solved, that doesn't matter, because nothing mattered to begin with. All that does matter is once the fight is over, you were saved. You are alive. There is nothing more real than a fight. There is no place you will feel more alive than a fight. Through fighting, you will all be brought through the nonsensical illusion of civilized society and into the valley of salvation. Not all fights are the same, but fighting is pain. Life is pain. Life is suffering. And you're all slowly beginning to realize that. That is what Tyler Durden believes. So perhaps, if you truly want to be free, you must be willing to let go. In order to let go, first, you must hit bottom. Stop thinking that the cars, fashion, the latest games, tech upgrades, and makeup is somehow going to fulfill you. In all reality, these very things advertising and influencers make you chase are making you miserable and leaving you feeling empty inside, with a hole that only grows deeper with every purchase, every like, and every second of validating attention you give them. So cut the foreplay and be honest with yourself. For once, driving a nice car and wearing fancy clothes with some person's name on them does not complete you. Owning the latest iPhone or pointless piece of smart technology doesn't make you a better person or place you higher on some imaginary scale of worth you and the other blind vessels stuck in this never-ending cycle of dehumanizing comparisons believe. Putting on makeup, the fake eyelashes, the nails, fake hair, and plastic surgery, aesthetic bodybuilding, fad diets, and fad acceptance will not cure your body dysmorphia. These things do not assist you in becoming a better person. All this overly indulgent and obsessive self-improvement without purpose is doing nothing but making you weak. Comfort is a distraction and is meant to keep you docile like oxygen masks on a plane. What makes you so deserving? Nothing. It's an illusion, and a great one at that. What about all this self-help perpetuated to you by these empty sociopathic holograms who don't give a fuck about you unless you're buying their latest book, listening to their newest podcast, or becoming one of their millions upon millions of anonymous self-replicating monthly donators? But for a few dollars a month, you too can have your name digitally placed on a screen, living vicariously through someone else's success, only for others to enviously criticize you as an idiot, unaware of the irony when they themselves, although they would never admit it, wish they could be the ones on that very screen. Self-help, self-care, self-improvement is nothing more than masturbation. What Tyler prescribes as the cure is a little thing called self-destruction.
This is a chemical burn.
When you refuse to wake up and see things for what they actually are, You are nothing more than one of the billions of mindless, empty-headed, depressed clones, further drifting away from anything resembling who and what you actually are. You are nothing like the social media celebrities and movie stars you see and live vicariously through on algorithmically enhanced feeds and movies. You are not millionaires or pop stars, nor will you ever be. You are not important. You are not unique or special, and neither am I. We are nothing more than the same decaying organic matter like everything else on this dirt ball of a planet. We are all part of a giant compost heap. So do yourselves a favor. Stop conning yourselves. Stop the excessive shopping and masturbation. Quit your job. Start a fight. Prove you're alive. If you don't claim your humanity, you will become a statistic. You have to know, not fear, know that one day you're going to die. And in order to do that, you have to let go. At least according to Tyler, that is. Tyler starts giving homework assignments to the members of Fight Club, moving his philosophy of destroying societal programming out of the basement and into the world, where the war against materialism, capitalism, and modern society brainwashing can fully be realized. In the beginning, it started with simple tasks, like starting a fight with a stranger and losing. Later, it led into more acts of mischief and vandalism. Then comes recruitment. For 3 days, the applicant stands outside the house with no food, no sleep, and no encouragement. After the 3 days, they are allowed into the house to begin their training. While it's never fully explained what training the recruits go through, they do, however, shave their heads and have a set of rules they all follow, including Tyler, which have been adapted from the rules of Fight Club. The space monkeys, the foot soldiers, the infantry, the operators of Project Mayhem, ready and willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. You may be wondering what the deeper philosophical meaning behind Project Mayhem is. While some may assume this is Tyler being hypocritical and he is merely the latest cult of personality, creating subservient followers, becoming everything he proclaimed he was fighting against, trading one method of control for another. Right? This couldn't be further from the truth. This is nothing more than an ill-conceived assumption. And you all know what happens when you assume, right? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So how about you stop following and start thinking? The meaning of Project Mayhem is coaching people beyond their own ideas of their ability. And that means that sometimes, most of the time, people have to be ordered to move past what they're afraid of. Project Mayhem was always destined to one day fall like the credit card buildings collapsing under 400 gallons of nitroglycerin, exploding, leaving nothing more than broken debris, resetting the financial debts of everyone back to zero, forcing a materialistic and capitalistic society into sheer chaos. However, after Project Mayhem's end, the former members would be free from their former lives, the lies that an image-obsessed, self-sabotaging, materialistic, reality-denying society plagued them with. Tyler taught them how to free themselves from the shackles of oppression and how to think for themselves and understand that what does not matter truly doesn't. and never will. Furthermore, Tyler is no different from the members of Project Mayhem. Every member of Project Mayhem is equal. And even though Tyler is in fact their leader, it doesn't mean he is exempt from Project Mayhem's rules. Project Mayhem was never about space monkeys or creating another cult of personality. Don't be so naive. Those who believe that didn't listen or simply didn't understand Tyler's message. Tyler did not create a cult. He didn't hypnotize a bunch of impressionable blank slates incapable of forming their own opinions, lacking a personality or individualism. What Tyler did was teach an entire generation of lost men how to reclaim their humanity and how to independently operate without central leadership. He's created a living, breathing organism out of the same decaying organic matter from the same compost heap we all come from. Tyler Durden isn't real in the physical sense. However, inside every one of you, behind the fake smile you flash at anyone whose eyes you meet when walking throughout life, the standard autonomous responses you give your coworkers, friends, and family. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. That isn't really how you feel, is it? That's what you've been taught to say, to be polite and not to make waves, to do your job and conform with the rest of these pre-programmed drones in order to appear normal.
Are they all singing, all dancing?
A life constantly chasing the dragon, seeking the next promise of fulfillment, only for it to predictably fall short, leaving you empty, depressed, and hollow, searching for meaning in a meaningless existence. Every one of you dream and fantasize about the version of yourself you truly want to become. But what holds you back? What makes you refrain from embodying your idealized self? Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of embarrassment. Fear of what others may think. Fear of suffering, of pain. The fear of trying something new. Fear holds people back from achieving their dreams and goals. Fear is nothing more than an obstacle for you to overcome and surpass. But what do most people do when they're afraid? Most people fall into the warm blanket of comfort, smothering themselves in useless shit that doesn't improve their lives, sinking them further into a grand depression of anxiety-driven misery. In order to free yourselves from the shackles of fear in your own self-created prison, you have to let go, to stop worrying about everything, the looks, the whispers. In order to be free and become the version of yourself you desperately desire in being, you have to learn how to let things that do not matter truly not matter. How to live with no fear and no distractions. Happiness is not a permanent state of being. It's a passing, temporary feeling. Life is not about being happy. Life is not about attempting to attain something that is truly unattainable. You're not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. And not your fucking khakis. We're the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world. And the sooner you begin to understand that, you are one step closer to releasing your inner Tyler Durden. First, become a monster Then, learn how to control it. Start a fight. Meet someone of the opposite sex. Fuck them like you want to fuck them. Stop the mindless consumerism and false deity worship. Fuck what these doom-scrolling, image-obsessed slaves think, see, say, and embody. It will only drag you further down the spiral. If you want to be the greatest version of yourself, if you want to be free, then cut the shit. Stop conning yourselves and find the bravery to become it. You can always go back to being how you currently are. And how's that working out for you? Huh? Tyler Durden is more real than you think, and that's because he lives in all of you, in his cage, waiting to be released. You hold the key to your own enlightenment. It's up to you if you want to let him out. Tyler Durden is not a one-dimensional, hypocritical, childish interpretation of expression over substance. He is not a cult leader. He is not expressing toxic masculinity as so many of you have incorrectly assumed. Drop your preconceived notions of your own limited perceptions about how you rationalize the world in your closed-off, small, ideological minds. Tyler Durden is the great second father to the lost children of the world. He is the response of every person trapped in their own insecurities and fears. Tyler is the true epitome of the shadow self, of the monster, and he lives inside us all, whether you like it or not. I highly encourage you to let him out and walk freely. All of you have spent far too long lingering in the dissociated, reality-denying mental gymnastics you mindlessly shamble through. It's not too late. Reclaim your humanity, because if you don't, you'll become another number. Unleash your monster and show the world your claws. Then, learn how to control it and live in harmony with it. You can always go back to what you've already been doing because that's been working out for you, right? And remember, everything you see on the internet is a lie, including this.